back, people. It's the Express Truth Show. We're back up in the building, man. Got Noble on the line as well. CFR Sports, CFR News, CFR Network. It's one family, man. We're in the building, so there's a lot to discuss today, people. But before we get into all of that, let me bring Noble in, man. Noble, what you saying?
Blessed be sibling, what it do, shalom, balance, paradise, righteousness, or most importantly, a balance, man. Blessed to be back. All praise to the Most High, and very much looking forward to this this edutaining build that I think some people may not kind of get it until we actually break it down.
100%. So let's just go straight in, man. Well, before we even go straight in, I just want to revisit off the back of last week's topic just before we start this week. Mm-hmm. So I was explaining just as we wrapped up last week the issues with the YouTube algorithm and all that stuff. But I was explaining to you that YouTube, I reached out to them and said, look, I feel like the channel's being hidden from the public. Mm-hmm. And they were like, no, that's not the case. It's all about thumbnails and tags and keywords and putting the links to other videos. They were basically breaking all this stuff down and saying if you get that right, with time, they start to promote the content more. So this guy had said from YouTube they were going to do an evaluation on the channel, and that's where, we haven't had it back yet, this evaluation as far as where we're lacking and all this stuff. So that's what I was trying to get out last week. So I just thought we'd just start it off right there. But yeah, man, we're in the building today, and I have wanted to discuss this for a while since the actual movie came out. But you need a sparring partner with this because you need two sides of the coin, meaning we both have to. You know what I'm saying, Noble, man. You know what I'm saying.
Yes.
So, You People, it's a movie that recently came out on Netflix. All-star cast, to name a few: Eddie Murphy, Lauren London, Nia Long, Jonah Hill. That's just to name a few. It's an all-star studded cast. Now, the movie revolves around a storyline of a Jewish white guy, a podcaster as well. It's mad. He's a podcaster, yeah? Go through.
Before you do that, okay, so it's got an IMDb rating of 5.5, released obviously Gregorian year of 2023. Follows a new couple and their families who find themselves examining modern love and family dynamics amidst the clashing of cultures, social expectations, and generational differences. Comedy and romance. The director is Kenya Barris, or Barris even. Come true.
Okay, so you've laid out the premise of the movie. Now, the first thing I'll say, when I watched the movie, I was like, this is just Guess Who? A modern version of Guess Who? But upon finishing the movie, I'm not going to lie, I watched it. There was some very funny parts. But in today's world, and especially by the end of this conversation, you'll understand where I'm coming from. I feel like a lot of these movies, they're putting these movies out there to kind of reinforce certain ideas.
Yes.
Do you see what I'm saying to you? Mm-hmm. So, yes, it's a black girl, a very beautiful black girl, Lauren London. Her parents are Eddie Murphy and Nia Long. And she meets Jonah Hill's character, who she meets outside of a building. They end up falling for each other. And for me, I feel like it's just promoting certain ideas. Now, what ideas am I talking about? Because we know that interracial relationships, that's normal. And, that's normal. Everyone does what they do. However, I feel like this particular piece of filmmaking has been brought forth to almost reinforce those ideas. And what I mean by that is, right now we know that there is you know what, no, it's so hard talking about this without offending people. People, listen, forgive me, all right? I'm just going to have to say it as it is. There's a war going on outside, man. There's a social media war going on between the black man and the black woman. Let's just keep it real. Now, me personally, myself, I don't like to believe that I'm a part of this war, but I do find myself having to say certain things. Now, this movie for me is capitalizing off that war, because basically what I believe the film's trying to say is that, yo, there's always a knight in shining armor when you're ready. And that knight in shining armor comes in way of a white man. I'm just going to keep it real with you. I believe that that's the levels that the movie are trying to, that's what they're trying to promote. That there's a knight in shining armor waiting for you out there. There's a guy out there who's going to give you that a black man won't. There's a white guy somewhere out there who's going to give you everything a black man won't. That's what this film's basically saying. That's what the film's saying. Now, I got to keep it real. I have to keep this thing 1,000% real, people. Upon first watching it, I didn't see every little thing that was strategically placed there. I had to watch it for a second time to kind of gauge what was, the kind of messages that were being promoted in the film. For me, personally, I believe that they got it wrong compared to Guess Who. There's a lot of political messages in this movie. You just have to look for them. So, for example, when they're speaking about the slavery versus the Holocaust, that was presented in a certain way. You see what I'm saying? It was presented in a way like, no, but come true. Just come true. Come true. Come true. I'm going to break this thing down. We're warming up, man.
Yes. No, it's challenging. This is a very challenging topic because it, on the veneer, as you say, it's a star-studded cast. It's full of these very talented actors. But if you don't have a clear rooted knowledge in self and have a little bit of understanding, even just a little bit of like political and historical sort of situations, not even going back too far, this is just a comedy, feel good film, lot of laughs. Like for me, the start of the film, I had no idea what on earth I was watching, but the taxi, the Uber thing, I thought it was funny. That scene right there set the table kind of thing in regards to the comedic element of it. So I'm like, okay, like where's this gonna go? Like, is he gonna start hanging around her and they're gonna become friends and whatever? She's gonna give him advice or whatever. It quickly, as you say, it developed into, in essence, a romance. Now, let me give another thing. It makes me feel old saying this. I didn't even know that was Lauren London, sibling. Because she's had all this work and she's put a little bit of weight on, I was thinking, who's this new actress? I ain't seen her before. I think it's, and I was thinking to myself, it's pretty brave putting someone who's not a classical size zero kind of, a Tixie Street. And it wasn't until I was building with you that I figured out who he was.
Crazy. She has gained a lot of weight, though.
And that's no shade, as the youngsters say. I'm just speaking it for it what it is, man. I'm not in the world like that, peeping people's changes, etc., etc. But you know, the acting was good. The cinematography was excellent. 1 hour, 117 minutes. But as you say, specifically the dinner table setting, and the mother was like, wait a minute, are you comparing the prisoner of war scenario that your foreparents went through for a number of years? And in essence, the physical chains have been taken off, but the mental change is still there. Are you really trying to compare this to the Holocaust? What my foreparents went through? And it's like, well, there's not a comparison, but if you want to bring it up, like, we can compare anything. Like, is there differences? Is there nuances to what took place? Of course there is. And the strong stance in regards to this is what was the crazy thing. It wasn't just a Afro-American or a American African American family sort of joining union with a Jewish family, ones who follow Judaism. It wasn't just that. Let's add the element of the Nation of Islam and Eddie Murphy, right? At the same meal, sibling was raving and showing reverence in regards to the kufi that he had on his head, and he called it a crown.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward, and symbolically, what happened to that clown? That crown, sorry, Mark.
It was set it on fire, didn't they, or something?
Set it
mad.
on fire.
Yeah.
The same mother who questions that scenario set the hat on fire, and they threw alcohol on it first to accelerate the burning of said crown, and then they all stomped on it.
Yes.
Something which he held dearly to his heart, which he received from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, as his titleage is.
Yes.
It was liberties, sibling. Liberties.
And you see, you've gone straight in, and I'm glad you have now, because I feel like I'm warm now, people. So all right, this is what happens. I'm here now, man. We're going in. This is what happens, Noble. So back in 2017, I remember there was an older woman that, matter of fact, I'll just come out and say it as it is. A family member, not immediate, but family. And this family member has struggled with their love life. Okay, and I'm going to break this thing down. This family member struggled with their love life for quite a while. An older person. Now, what they would do is meet guys, that they had met. They'd meet a guy that they had met maybe at, an event, or meet somebody through a friend or something like that. And then they would start to accelerate things like very fast. Things would be accelerated almost. Like they would meet the guy, and within the next few months, that guy was almost part of the family. He'd be at every event. You'd see the person all the time, and then they would just disappear. Boom, like Houdini, just disappear. And then the same thing would happen all over again. And this was going on for some time. They would come with this, another man, this is my man. And I think it even went as far as the individual got engaged. Now, I said all of that to say this. When the individual got engaged, they ended up splitting up. And this was like a big blow, massive blow. They ended up splitting up. And when they've split up, this individual had an agenda, Noble, against black men. Like literally, I would have to hear the slander and the hate of black men almost every time I seen this person, to the point where I didn't even like seeing this person anymore. because they would always, black men no good, and black man, yeah, this and, nah, man, I don't want a black man, and yeah. That's all they used to say.
Yeah.
Then one day, the conversation slightly changed. And it was, black men are no good. They're the worst. They don't want kids. They don't look after this. All these stereotypical views.
Yeah.
And then the person was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a white man. They're going to treat me good. They're going to marry me. They're going to treat me like a queen. And I'm like, yeah. So one of these days I was around this person, yeah? And they started spilling this poison. But while they were spilling this poison, there was other black men in the room. So I took it upon myself to put up a defense for the black man. So I said, hold on a second. I said, could it be the places you're meeting these guys? Could it be how fast that things are moving after you meet these guys? The person was like, no, it's not that. It's because they're black. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, I want a white man. They're going to treat me like a king. I mean, like a queen. They're going to take care of me, get married. I'm going to meet a white man with money and all this stuff. So I just started saying, listen, men are men. End of the day. If you approach that community the way you approached this community, it'll be the same outcome. Because sometimes you have to look at yourself. Now, this person has been talking about this white man for years and never found one. Never. You get me? Never found one. Because how they were trying to sell this thing is like, they can just go out there and have their pick of the bunch, the white bunch, and that white person's going to treat them like royalty way more than a black man. And it hasn't happened. And this was back in 2017 when it blew up and it was an argument. Now, movies like this is what puts these fairy tales in women like that's head. That there's a man out there who's going to do way more for you, like it's being sold that there's no partners, no good partners of a black man. But I'm going to show you something right now. And you might be surprised because I know you're not into this foolishness I'm going to talk right now. Now, you know that show Love Island?
Yes.
I know you don't watch them things there, but there's a black boy in there called Shaq. Now, I'm not going to lie, I got roped in. And
you did some studying and peeps.
I've had to kind of I watched the first episode and I like how he kind of stood up for the little sister, you get what I'm saying, on the show. Because usually they don't get picked. Black girls don't get picked on that show. So I kind of like that he picked the black girl. And I know people might be saying, only pick someone if you like them, but I'm talking about the message it sends out. Now, Noble.
Symbology behind it.
There you go, 100%. Now, this guy adores this girl. Nobody, he adores her. He adores her with everything in him. He's already told her he loves her and all kind of nonsense.
And how quickly has this developed?
Less than a month.
Okay.
Now, but remember, on TV, is dealing with the girl good. Yo, I love you, baby. Now, don't get it twisted. I ain't watched every episode, so fill in the blanks for me. People at home, fill in the blanks. But what I noticed is, moralistically, man are losing their values. Now, this is all gonna connect back to the you people thing. Moralistically, man are losing their values, meaning the girls already gave up the Tony Noble. Excuse me, people, my voice. The girls already gave up the Tony to the guy in this house, Noble. Now, listen, this is live TV, you know.
Yeah.
This is live. This is recorded. They're in a room with other people, you know.
Yeah.
She's gave up the front to the guy. Now, she told him she loved him too. Now, they have this part of the show where they can recouple with another person. This guy, Noble, has refused to recouple, slept in the bed by himself. You know what the little sister did, Noble? She recoupled with another man and embarrassed the black youth on TV. He was almost in matter of fact, he did cry. He did cry. Now the reason
what was the reason behind him not recoupling?
Because she went off to another house and she chose another man. After she done already gave up the front and told him she loves him. And she went with another guy and lipsed up the other guy already. Now, she embarrassed this man on live TV. Now, the issue for me is this. That guy's been turned into a savage now. Because now, he now is going to look at every girl he comes into contact with.
Yes.
And he's going to be looking to get hurt.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Secondly, that may turn him away from even a black woman. So, what I'm trying to say is, when girls talk this foolishness that there's no good men, that guy there damn near was ready to marry this girl after a month. Now, that's a different conversation. But what happens is, a girl like that in 5, 6, 7 years is going to be out of options. Then she's going to start spilling this poison also, like the elder family member I was telling you about, based on her bad choices. So what they then do is they'll be watching a movie like that and it makes people not take no accountability.
Exactly.
Come true, Noble, man. We got time today, man.
Key words you use right there, accountability. And this goes both ways. Male and female. We've got this insane kind of scenario taking place in regards to, I'm going to the same places, I'm meeting the same people, and the same results are taking place. And then rather than examining that and examining yourself, you externalize the problem. Even though it's a minority. Let's say this has happened over, 4 relationships, and you've met all of these 4 men or all of these 4 women at Sanchez's dance birthday party thing. Yeah? Right? So at what point do you say to yourself, the next person I meet, number one, I gotta slow this thing down. I'm sure I've heard Noble and Mark talking about this thing called dating and courting. And, maybe I should try something like that rather than meeting someone who physically looks nice, have sexual relations, and then inject, and in essence, because let's not get it twisted, infatuation, you get infatuated with people. It's all new. Everything's new. What's new is good. Yeah. The lusting comes into it. That doesn't last forever. When the real you, when you're not trying to impress, like you're on your best behavior, blah, 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 blah. Now, if you're a good person anyway, and let's not get that twisted, even good people have bad elements and bad traits in themselves. But when you're constantly putting out your best foot forward, after a period of time, you start to think, well, I got this person now. I can show her the real me kind of thing. Because they've got the nice me, like the real me is not too dissimilar. And that's where the problem takes place. It's a blanket statement or a blanket approach to a situational problem, which is personal to your own experience. Yeah,
I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot.
I'm with this, I've got 2 children now and, 2 baby fathers. I'm done with men. Or I'm done with black men.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, like what's going on?
So what about when you go to your fast food restaurant, your McNasties? Like, I'm sure they get things wrong there, but you don't say, well, hold up, I've come here 3 times now, and you've got this order wrong, or you put pickles in the thing, or whatever, or this don't taste nice. Like, you don't say, oh, I'm done with McNasties. You're just more scrutinous in regards to maybe the specific McNasties you go to. So if you're having problems in Dale End, I ain't going to that Dale End one still. No. I only go to the one on Bristol Road because, you know what I mean, they do the food proper there. I don't have no problems. So you apply those things, you prejudge based upon your experience, of course, to a point. And then someone might say, yo, man, they got different managers down here now. You don't need to drive all the way to Bristol Road. You can go to Dale Inn now and get your McNasty's. So it's examine it, man. It's being, as you say, accountability for oneself and looking at the bigger picture. What can I do? Is it all external? Is it all people? Or do I have a part to play in this? Because a relationship is not a relationship two people, Mark.
Exactly. And not only is it not two people, but you're the author of your own book. And I'm not saying that things don't go wrong. Things, we don't control everything in life. But the facts are this, that a movie like, sorry people, man, I'm still, I don't know what it is, man. It's like I lose my voice, it comes back, so I do apologize. But what it is this, Noble, you have people now who genuinely, it's like you have people who will say, okay, I'm not successful in life. And then they will say every reason why they're not successful in life. But they will never place any of that blame on a decision that they made. Now, I only started to elevate in life when I realized that I'm the author of my own book.
Yes.
I make the decisions to jump in that car. I make the decisions to go to that venue. Now, if I'm just driving along and a lorry comes and hits me, God forbid, that was fate. But if I'm personally going to an event where I know there's people there that may have knives and guns, I don't want to be there.
Exactly.
And I've only elevated since thinking like that, which I've been thinking like that a long time. So what I'm trying to explain is the reason there's always going to be interracial relationships. That's just a fact, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do your thing. But the reason the black family is, is dying, and when I say dying, we're seeing less of this, is because of these people that, oh, well, it's not my fault. It's because black men are like that. Black men it's their fault why I ain't got no man.
Yeah.
It's their fault why, I'm only speaking to that percentage of people.
The minority.
The minority, yeah. Like, it's the black man's fault why I'm a single mom. It's a black man's fault why I haven't got A, B, or C. And now it's like, oh, I should have had a white man. If I had a white man, he would have treated me like a queen. And then you get these girls. I know girls who have actually personally gone out and done and tried, and then realized, oh, it's the same thing, even worse.
Yeah,
for their position.
Generally.
Yeah,
Yes.
for their position. So I'm trying to say, a man's a man. It's like someone will say, like, okay, now this is the deep quote, very deep quote. But a girl will say, like, I don't want a next black man because the last black man broke my heart. So I don't want a next black man. Okay, so you go into the race where a man broke your people. Forget your heart. You go into where a man's broke your people now. You get what I'm saying, Noble?
Yes.
So you're going to a place now where you're historically, that must mean something to you now. I'm not saying you're not going to be happy, like, but it's not a given you're going to be happy. But a movie like that pushes that mindset.
It blurs the lines, Mark.
Yeah,
it
that's
totally
what
blurs the lines.
Yeah, Lauren London. Chris Lauren London. Let me keep it real. Jonah Hill's not drawing that. Zero chance. Now, I'm not saying he can't make his money work for him in the position he's in now. I'm not saying he couldn't make his money work for him. You get what I mean? But this is how it's being, they've presented it in a way like, that's what you guys need to be doing. Because if people can say, oh, like there's a big debate going on online now about the Guess Who comparisons. And I'm like, if you check Guess Who, if you're trying to make changes to Guess Who, So why weren't it a white girl then and a black man? Why weren't it that? You've pushed it in a way because you're trying to push. There's a set of people out there who think that Serena, take away the accolades, my man's not. I'm keeping it 1,000 with you, know, but without offending anyone. Take away the accolades and the fame. That guy ain't drawing for. He's not doing it. And I'm just explaining something to you. Like, we can't look at celebrities in our world, the real world. Girls are making mistakes in their younger years. Men are too.
Yes.
But girls are going out there. I've personally seen girls say, list everything: car, a man, where a man lives, the kind of clothes he wears, the travel schedule, and they're literally sitting down in a hostel. I'm talking facts. If I'm lying, may God come for me. I've seen them saying, I'm saying, but you ain't bringing nothing to the table. You ain't but because you think Tony and looking good amounts to value, which I guess it does in the modern world, but that's why a film like that is a propaganda film, because it kind of furthers the thing that, like, it's just this narrative.
Happiness, Mark, lies outside of being with someone of your own kind or of your own nation. This is what the propaganda is. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the 90s. You recall Jungle Fever?
Yes, Spike Lee.
Spike Lee joins.
Yeah,
Denzel.
Man. Yeah, man.
And at that point, because there's always been that kind of dynamic with African or Afro-Americans and Italians. Yes, Italiano. So it was a masculine, and this is what they were doing at that period, all the way from the 80s. There was you wouldn't see this dynamic what we're seeing now, but they've put that. It's role reversal. So every 10 years, it's like, how can we destroy the black family even further? You know, what propaganda can we put out? And as Mark said, listen, they say love is blind. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. And there are some people who do have interracial relationships, and in some cases it works. You know, where both parties are open and willing to embrace each side of the cultures and to teach their offspring, their progeny, the value in their self and where they come from, the two lineages. Now, what we're experiencing, I can see friends, family, all the rest of it, associates, that the little nieces and the little nephews now, like in one more generation, they will bear no resemblance to grandma, to granddad.
At all.
To the mom.
At all. And there's nothing wrong with a man advocating for a black family, meaning that, okay, if you're saying that you're not, like, you got these men, I'm not attracted to that. All right, cool, do you? But I'm saying for those of us who are, what that movie is, like you said, what the movie's saying is happiness lies outside of the community that you're in.
Yeah.
And that's what it is, and that's how it was orchestrated. And even when you look at someone like Eddie Murphy in that film, if you're growing up as a strict Nation of Islam Don,
yes,
and your wife is with that as well,
yes,
how does your child even slip through them cracks? Like, that wouldn't even be a conversation, and none of this was addressed in the movie. That's why I call it a propaganda film, because we've all been to school in the UK and went to school with, like, our neighbors, what would you call it, Nobula? Minority neighbors. So, like, say Indians, Pakistanis, different people that we've all grown and had and grown to be have friendships, and you know what I mean. And do you notice that? For me, I can speak from my point of view that no matter what negative stuff that man might slip and get involved with, the core culture is always present. Meaning, like, you look at a man's wife. I'm not saying there isn't an exception in to certain parts of this, but you'll look at a man's wife, it's usually of his community. The way a man's religion is the religion that was passed down to him. He was given that by his people. He usually has he's got a link to him, to his people.
Yes.
Whereas with us, how are you that strict in your belief, but your child don't have none of that at all? Like your child just grows up and ignores all of that. Do you see what I'm trying to say? And it didn't address it. Like, they should have had a scene where Eddie said, like, yeah, I was like that, but I didn't want to push it on my daughter or rare.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They didn't address none of that. It was just like, you met this guy and my man's just treating her like royalty, just off the cuff. Just basically, yo, this is my, like, he's willing to go against every rule in the book. Even when she was losing her job, and he's like, yeah, I'll hold it down for you. Don't worry. You know what I mean? Just so for them girls, I got you, don't worry, I'll hold it down. Because it's basically indirectly saying, yo, you're not going to get that with your people. I'm telling you, and people might say it's a reach. It's not a reach. That's what the film's saying. It's basically letting you know happiness lies outside of your community. And this is why I brought up the conversation back in 2017, because Umar said it the other day. He said, what white billionaires has a black wife? And I asked someone that question, and they said, Eve's married to a white billionaire.
Yeah.
And I said, Eve is less than 1,000,000.1%. Like, that don't happen. And another thing is, you can't look at yourself in the same light as Eve. That guy could have grown up adoring Eve. I used to go to certain man's yard. They'd have that picture of Little Kim's legs spread out. Remember that picture? Everybody had that picture. Like, white boys had that picture, everything. So there might be a white boy who said, yo, I want that when I get older, if I could ever have a chance to be with her. So you can't look at yourself in that light. All I'm trying to do is, right now, the narrative is that we ain't nothing as black men. You know, like every other week, there's some story coming out that is further supporting, you know, the Kanye stuff, all this stuff where there's no sort of identity. It's just everyone's running to one side, then everyone's running to the other side, and then it's all this, like even with the Chris Brown thing yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't believe that this guy was 17 and
a youth.
He was 17. Like, at the end of the day, the girl attacked him. He attacked her. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying it's in the past. When does he get to move forward?
He don't, because he's being blackballed.
This is what I'm saying. Like, this is crazy, but I don't mind that. Do their thing, but let's keep the same energy.
Yes.
With everybody then. Because if we're talking about the Bible, which most black people have grown up with, then the Bible says that all sins will be judged equally.
Yes.
So, the end of the day, so are we saying that our cousin who was in jail for selling coke, he's going to get through the gates of heaven because, he was only selling coke. But Chris, who made that one mistake, but your cousin sold coke for 20 years. What are we saying here? But he's at every family cookout, I know I'm sounding like an American, but he's at every barbecue, he's everywhere. When do we say that a person's past is their past? But if we're going to do that, we have to do it for everyone.
Indeed. Everyone,
man and woman alike, no matter what mistake you've made, if we're not forgiving, we have to have everyone, we might as well walk around with a passport with everything we've ever done. Because I believe people can check. Yeah. That's it. We should walk around with a passport where if we go somewhere, a man can say, let me look at what you did in 1999. Like, the end of the day, like I said last week, on last week's show, that people don't go through life People grow through life.
Yes.
That's a fact. You grow through life. Nobody is the finished article. Nobody. And I'm not advocating for no type of crimes, but people can change. I mean, of course, there's certain crimes that society don't forgive, and we as people should not forgive. Mm-hmm. But that situation there, let that man live his life now. And that's it. And this is what I'm trying to say. Like everywhere I look, I'm seeing these attacks. I'm seeing these like vicious attacks on like black men, and it's not, the black woman is right at the forefront of that war. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying all noble, because I know sometimes when I get on here, I can kind of make it sound like an umbrella thing. But I'm trying to say,
the ones with a voice, the ones who have got the voice and who are prominent and who many people then will follow, they're the ones who are driving this narrative. They're not bringing the balance and like actually questioning it. They're like, yeah, man, you know, I've been through that as well, man. Enough, man. And let's also confirm, yes, indeed, there are some crazy black men out here who are, in my opinion, are suffering from arrested development. Yes. And also possibly generational curses where they don't have that connection with another woman like that.
Agreed.
They only feel fulfilled.
Agreed.
When they're with multiple different gal. You know what I mean? They feel like they're still 17. They got their little black book with all the little stars on it or whatever kind of thing they're dealing with. Like, yeah, this one does this and blah, blah. It's growing through life and going through life. These people are going through life, and trustfully, sooner rather than later, they're going to have an experience which is going to force them to now grow through life, to grow and develop into now a man, maybe even at 45 years old, maybe at 50 years old, they actually realize, oh my gosh, I've been living like a child, like a little teenager for 50 odd years.
And will that wake up ever come? That's it. Will that wake up call ever come for certain man? But what I'm saying is, them brothers there represent a percentage of the community. Mm-hmm. But them are the active brothers who are, you gotta think, a man who can be out every weekend don't have a lot going on. I heard this quote today, actually. He's either got too much time or too much money. And if it's the latter, then you ain't really got an issue. But if it's the earlier statement, if you got too much time, there's an issue there. Yes. And this is what I'm saying, that accountability has to start being, we have to start addressing accountability, meaning that we're in control of who our partner will be, We can't ignore red flags. So what that movie's saying is, to me, I just think it helps give these people more of a reason to throw stones at the black. I think the black man's picking up a lot of strays right now. He's to blame for everything. For every issue, he's to blame. Family breakdown, this, that. People don't see that there was things done strategically to keep the family apart. Girls were getting flats and stuff. Mm-hmm. You get me? If they were pregnant, it was like if you went to that job center and said, I ain't got no man, society would step in as the dad. Yes. And a lot of girls done that back in the day. These decisions were made on that time. Yo, I need a flat. It was. I've heard girls say, I don't want to get. I can't be with that man on paper because I'm not going to get given the trinkets. Yeah, yes. I call it trinkets. I'm not going to get given the trinkets that come with being, single. And this is the issue. Now, those people that made those decisions, you have to stand on that, as them Americans would say, 10 toes down. You got to stand 10 toes down on any decision you make. It's a gamble. So if you gambled that and now you may not attract what it is that you want. you may not attract that now, but there's no savior out there. There's no savior out there for somebody who makes consistent bad decisions. Because white man, I'm telling you, they think very different to us. Or to, you know what I mean? They think different. Like, I know white men who just, majority of my white brethren, they've just met their woman from 19, 20, some even earlier, and it's just a done deal from that point.
Yeah.
Like, they've just, boom, like, I've got white brethren who, when they get paid, yeah, it goes to his woman.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard white men say to me, I can't buy that, I need to call the missus.
Yes.
Or I have to let the missus know, like, yo, if I'm doing that, or I can't even be out too late, you know, the missus, or that's how them, man, the majority, because I'm telling you, let's say, if I got 100 white bedrooms, 98 move like that. All my white bedrooms from school are either married or in a long-term, stable relationship.
Yes.
These are facts. Now, what I'm trying to say is, they will move that way with their women who's of their background. So if I got like a white bedroom who's from, say, the Lyndhurst estate in Erdington, his girl's from an estate somewhere else in Brum.
Yes.
So the two of them come together and boom. Now let's say I got a white bedroom who it came from a privileged background. It links up with a girl from a privileged background and boom, it's just... Yes. So what I'm trying to say, if you attract what you are out here, you attract what you are. People don't like to hear this real talk.
It's a reflection.
Yeah, it's like looking in the mirror. Yeah. When you get up in the morning and you stand up in that mirror, you can't hide. Whether you're overweight, whether you got bad skin, whether your hair's thinning, whatever it may be, you can't hide from what you are.
Yes.
So you can either live hating yourself or learn to love yourself. When you learn to love yourself, you make better decisions.
Facts.
When you learn to value yourself, you value who you spend your time with. You value the decisions you make. So what I'm trying to say is, these women who think that, you know, like I've literally met girls who have met a man today, and by next week, they're telling you he's the best thing that ever happened to them. So what I'm trying to say is, you can't make bad decisions, yeah? And then it don't work out for you, and then, yo, it's black. Now you're blaming all black men. But when I really check it out, I hear all these negative things said about black men. But when I really look at, like, the majority of my black, like, male friends, they're all with their woman, got their house, love their children, fathers, upstanding citizens. So all these podcast girls on Shadeborough and all these places, who are they talking about? Are you chasing the bag? Are you chasing the bag? And then, because remember this, if you're chasing the bag, a lot of problems come with that.
Yeah.
Whereas if you, look, come on, Noble, I'm not getting personal, but you're an example of how to do things correct. Whereas other people, they don't understand nothing about building together. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just, you're not going to just meet someone, they've got it all figured out and you haven't.
Yes.
No, but come true, man. Come true.
It's the journey, man. This is the thing, as you said, growing through life, finding your reflection, the person who has that light, that essence, you know what I mean? Where it's, we can do this together with my support, and when you need to support me and then I need to support you, we got each other. We don't need the external gratification of going on Facebook and saying, yeah, just woke up and there's the picture. Yeah, I've just had my dinner. We're just leaving to go work, and you know, everything is everything. We don't need all of that stuff. You know what we need is ourselves, and the idea and the goals and the ambitious plans and trying to meet them. That's what it's living. It's really, really living, not vicariously through social media, not vicariously through these stars, Like, people have got things really twisted. You've got a talent, which is an entertainer. That's cool. But like, where's the reverence for people saving other people's lives and stuff? You know, coming up with these inventions and stuff. How about putting your stamp in this realm of existence rather than being the follower? Why don't you set pace, as they say? Why don't you set trends? Why don't you pattern your thing rather than following, ducking and diving, 500 on lubes, this and that, pan that, your little belt thing and all this foolishness every weekend, Like, huh? Yeah, I mashed down this thing and okay, all right. How old are you again? Like, are you still doing that? See, as I've said, you've got to find people, you've got to be around people who are going to enrich your life. Yeah? Everything and everyone has its reason and its season. So early stage, get it out your system, man. Get it out your system as quick as possible. All that stupid stuff, get it out your system. If required. Some people don't need to have multiple girls and don't need to do all this provocative sexual behavior business. They don't need that. They realize that they can see around what becomes of that type of behavior, and they're like, you know what? I just want to do things the normal way. Because again, we're talking about a section of people. This isn't the majority. This is a small minority who have a large voice pushing a narrative, and it makes it look. And then we've got media, the shame stream media, who are pushing, and we've got entertainment.
That's sick. That is the shame stream media, yo. Go through Noble.
They will promote the propaganda and the agenda, which is now you got to think to yourself, why is it this constant attention on the black man and the black woman? Well, and we're not talking about just in England. Every place you go, there seems to be something where, like, there's laws put in place, there's propaganda, there's this, there's, and everyone just seems to be on this, let's not let these people do what they need to do. Let's not let them exist. Let's destroy, even though look what they've been through. You think we'd be held or yielded up as like, look, we messed up way back, We're going to help these people. And look how we're helping them. Like, look how talented they are. They got some problems and stuff, but we're going to help them the most. No. Let's destroy them even further. Let's financially give them, as you say, the trinkets, the dog biscuits, the whistles, to divide them further, to stop the employment opportunities for the black male who used to be able to provide for the whole family. Let's dwindle down those opportunities, and let's not give them nothing. Let's create a benefit system where we've got 2 to 3. Let's see, we're in 2023 now. We've got 4 generations of women making bad decisions, having children. The children grow up in a dysfunctional, toxic family or household, seeing the same thing, being around the same people. They then meet a toxic weirdo, again, the minority, and then they have a child. Single parent household, their child then has another child at the age of 14. Yeah? This is a common thing, especially in Brum. It's ridiculous. At no point, no one's looking back and looking at their lineage and saying, yo, my mom was single. I'm a single parent, and I got 3 kids. My mom raised all 4 of us. Her mom raised all 5 of them.
Yeah.
Listen, I need to do some. What can I do? Let me go to the oldest person in this tree and try and understand what mistakes they kind of made. Let me examine my life. Like, at some point, we gotta take responsibility for what we're doing. You can't blame it's the black man, it's the black woman. No. What about you?
Thank you, Noble. It's very, very important, and this is why I'm saying that what happens is the shame stream media, big boy word that is, yeah, make it appear as though this is the majority. So what happens now is you've got girls who are feminists, who had both granddads in their life and an active father, but because of their dealings with whatever man, they're now a feminist, but they're not looking and saying, well, Granddad was there for Nan. Other granddad was there for that Nan. Dad was there for mom. Yeah, but dad, A, B, or C. Yeah, but the end of the day, yeah, every book, like we said last week, every life has its seasons. Some people out there, you know, again, I'm going to branch off into another quick story. I remember seeing this guy all the time in Erdington. He'd be outside the gym, UTC, all the time. Bare different foreigns, all the time. His life looked perfect from the outside looking in. One day when I finally got to meet this guy and talk, and we finally got to chop it up, and he was basically telling me a little bit about his journey, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible, the journey. It was just something that I couldn't believe that he was actually going through that. But this is what people don't seem to understand, that you can see something. You can be looking at an apple, you know, but really it's a pear. And this is the problem. This is the issue. All I'm seeing is, like with that Love Island thing, girls are making excuses for that Shaq guys, for that girl's behavior. Like, yeah, well, that guy, he gets a bit loud and rare. So why did she open her legs to him? Why? If you weren't feeling this guy, you and that guy had no business exchanging fluids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to make that decision. You can't be making decisions like that, especially on TV and rare, and then just disrespecting the brother like that. Now, let's say he don't want to commit to another woman for the next 10 years. Who's to blame? I'm not saying she's to blame, because there's men who's been hurt and they go on to find love again, which is what you should do. But the majority ain't going to do that. They're going to be scared of being hurt now. They're going to be scared of being hurt or someone breaking their heart again. So now they're going to make funny decisions.
They're going to hold back, Mark, is what they're going to do.
Yeah.
They're not going to fully commit their emotions to another female. That's what's going to happen. And then subconsciously, they'll... pardon self. Subconsciously, this is embedded now. This traumatic emotional event. So consciously, he's going to say, you know what, make her just take it easy. Yeah, I'm going to have a little bit of fun. And trust me, in that fun, I'll meet somebody. And then he meets someone who he kind of clicks with. But then the subconscious then rears its head and says, whoa, listen. Don't you remember what happened on Love Island on national television? You know, remember your Instagram page getting flooded up with people calling you a simp and yo, you shouldn't have did that. You should have went with the next thing and da. Right? Don't you remember that? You don't want the same thing to happen again. So then that barrier it's constantly up now. Subconsciously, this is here now. So it's like, I'm not committing emotionally fully to this thing. I'll have the pleasantries, we'll have some fun, and that's gonna be it. Until it brooks down or whatever, I'm not committing.
That's it. And this is what happens.